Just what's really funny on the back end because Stacy runs the show, she produces it, but I'm on the back end, so I see the messages too. When you see this big red streaming failed, and you're like, ah.
Well, I was on, it was just because we're testing out a couple of new platforms and new ways of doing things, all of that kind of stuff. So I was kind of looking in different directions. I think I clicked a button.
Okay. It said recovered. So, which is good news and it's perfect timing. Why are we trying out new platforms? Because this week, tomorrow, we'll be talking about the latest trends in tech and we'll be sharing what we're using and what we're going to recommend. And I think, let's see, is Sumo Day still on tomorrow?
It's on until noon tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was literally looking at that yesterday because we were talking about something that we might want to purchase because that's like our hobby. Like, I don't think people understand how excited we get when we see something new and it's a lifetime deal and it's like exactly what we're looking for. And it would solve so many like issues and time and money and all of that kind of stuff. And we get really excited. So literally I saw
and it's cheap.
And it's cheap for a lifetime deal, considering like what we usually pay for lifetime is what they end up charging like monthly. Like,
like we use a very expensive software right now because we never started with them in lifetime deal. And if we had a lifetime deal, that would have been a lot better than what we pay right now.
Exactly. And so I'm really excited to talk about that. Number one, I love all the different softwares, as do you. But yes, if you are interested at all in AppSumo or any of their products, go to our resources page, the mastermind.city/resources, and there's a link there to take you to AppSumo, so you don't have to try to find it. And that will take you in. There's a Sumo Day going on until tomorrow at noon, so you can get all kinds of really cool stuff. But that's going to be a conversation for tomorrow.
And so what I'll be doing tonight in bed is with my laptop is looking at all the deals to make sure that we didn't miss anything.
Exactly. Because they do leave. And I think that's the thing that sometimes we have missed deals and we're very sad. And so there's that side of things. And then there's sometimes that we get deals and they don't work out because we do test a lot. We do need to start doing a YouTube channel on our reviews because it's just one of those things that we know what works. We know what doesn't. We know why it doesn't work. We know why it doesn't. So we either get the really cool deal. It's an amazing product. We love it. We use it and we're in heaven. We've missed it and we're sad and we literally stalk AppSumo hoping it'll come back one day.
And sometimes it does. And if you're a Plus member with AppSumo, sometimes you get access again. So again, check out our link and you'll find it, and and then that way we'll be able to make sure that you continue to get those all the time. So anyway, I am in a different place. Do you know those times when you don't expect to be somewhere?
Today's the world is Carmen Sandiego. Where in the world is State Chapel?
Yeah, so I ended up in the city yesterday. I thought I was going to not be here today, be back in my office, and I ended up here. And the interesting thing is, when you go, like, you're not prepared for the trip, so you're not prepared to stay over anywhere. So your hair products are not the same, so you're like going to look kind of frizzy. It's but you adjust, and I think the interesting thing is when you've traveled as much as I have, you are okay with wherever you end up and whatever you do, and you can figure it out. I remember when I was with Godiva, and I was in the New York office, and I ran global. So I was there. I literally had flown in from Toronto, landed into the office, and then the president called me in and said, "Okay, I need you to fly to Italy tonight. We already booked you a flight." And I was like, "Okay, when do I leave?" And it was like in a couple hours, and and it was literally, I was going to approve a site, so it was literally going to be, I was going to be there 24 hours, not even 24 hours, and then flying back. And I still remember to this day, I was like, I wonder what I got in my suitcase because I haven't unpacked yet.
Well, did you ever run into a situation, because I assume, again, thinking of that scenario, you weren't exactly prepared for the weather, the travel, the whatever. Have you ever been in a situation where you landed in a city and you had to go buy something?
Everything. So I landed in, I remember I landed in
All the
Tokyo and I
time.
had no luggage. And when you fly to Asia, when you fly anywhere that's that far from where I am, you always just wear jeans or something comfortable because it's a very long flight. It's like literally a
Right.
24-hour commute from my door to the hotel door. It's 24 hours,
Mhm.
like 15 hours in the air. From Narita at the time, which was the airport, was another, bullet train. Like by the time you got there, no luggage, zero. I had
Oh my God.
zero. And I flew United, and United was great. They just said, I said, I need clothes for, like, you're not going to get your luggage probably for 2 days. I said, so I need, like, I have a big meeting tomorrow. So I literally had to go. Thank God they were open. I went to a Japanese department store, and everything in Tokyo is very expensive. And just so you know, everyone's shorter than me, so their skirts are a lot shorter in a suit than what I would normally wear. But think about it. I had to buy everything. So I had to buy a suit, I had to buy shoes. Like, you think about, that you take for granted, but like
Yeah.
every single piece of what you wore. And then, of course, including cosmetics and everything. I still remember it was around, this was a long time ago, right? So we're talking about 25 years ago or something. So it was like, I think it was around 800 US back then. And that was
Wow.
for one, like, it was just getting me through one day.
Wow.
And United was great. They just boom paid me right away. And then my luggage came the next day. But it's very stressful to, have to go and try to get outfit when, especially in a place where it's not really your size. I was thin, so that was good, but I was a lot taller, and I'm not that tall.
Yeah, exactly. I guess, yeah, there's like losing your luggage or having the airline, lose your luggage where you arrive at a place. And a lot of people have those stories. I arrive in this city, arrive in that city. But at
Yeah.
least once you get your luggage, you were prepared. I think about your scenario where you land here and you have to go here. You may not have had anything to even be prepared. So whether they lost your luggage or not, you would have still had to have gone shopping.
Yeah. So yeah, in Italy, I was had my clothes for the office for the week, so it didn't really, you know what I mean? It just, to me,
Yeah.
like, literally didn't unpack. I just literally went to the office, and they said, "Okay,
Yeah.
you're going to Italy tonight." And I'm like, I know, you guys, stop sobbing and feeling sorry for me, because everyone's like, "Oh yeah, that's so hard." If and I flew business. It wasn't like a hardship, but you know what it was? I still remember, it was Alitalia, and it was the old school. I don't know if they still have them. They still had the old, what were they, 747s or something? Where they had the upstairs.
Oh, I've never been on a plane that had an upstairs.
Oh yeah, yeah. So it was kind of cool because, like, that was very, like, posh seating. You know what I
New
mean?
then, yeah,
There was
for
only
sure.
like 4 or 6 seats or something like that. So it was kind of cool. And I like they'd arranged it so I would be picked up at the airport. And the interesting part was a brand new development team. So these guys were real estate people that wanted me to approve a site. We were in Rome, right? And they wanted to do the deal. So they
Right,
were trying to impress me. So remember, I'd flown into New York. I worked all day. I took the red eye, right? Which made, because that's all you could do, which made me land in the morning. So I
right.
didn't sleep because I don't sleep on planes. So I didn't sleep. So I'd already not slept for a full day. They picked me up trying to impress me. What did they want to do? Not only see the site, they wanted to take me to every single place in Rome, every place. And I remember sitting at the one of the fountains.
Asleep?
Yeah, we were at a restaurant outside, obviously, near one of the fountains. And it was, I think, and I was flying back out at whatever it was, the red eye, I guess, back. And it was like 7 o'clock, because they eat dinner at like 10,
Yeah, I was
right?
gonna say they eat really late.
And
Yeah.
this is now we're going on day 2. I was so tired that have you ever been really tired and people are talking, you don't really understand what they're saying? Because
They're
you
like
just
in slow motion. Mwah, 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 mwah.
That's what's like, and it was like a fabulous trip. I approved the site, but it was a fabulous trip and everything. But it was just, insane. Like they took me everywhere, you name it. It's kind of, think of this, whatever city you guys live in right now that you're watching, think of somewhere that you would take, typical tourist trap. You would take somebody every single place. Like if you're in Toronto, you have to go to the CN Tower. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like you have to
exactly.
do all
Yeah.
the touristy things.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. And they were really trying so hard to get to land this deal, right? And then I remember flying back, and then I had an apartment in New York, and I just like crashed. I couldn't even get to the office. I just said,
And you
"You guys
couldn't even
are
sleep on the
right."
plane back, even though you were so
No, because I
tired.
just I don't know what it is. I flew so much I could never sleep. So anyway, it was kind of fun and interesting, but like I wouldn't recommend it. But like I talked to my son last week because he's going on a trip, and he's like, "How do you?" He wanted to know the number one way to get over jet lag, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my number way is not the best for everybody, but it does work. You just immediately go on to their time, no matter if you
Yeah.
slept or not. So
Yeah, you stay up.
do not sleep.
Yeah.
Just immediately go to their time, and that's what I did. Yeah, you might not be able to understand what somebody's saying to you, but
That's okay.
you'll make it through the day.
But it's interesting because I think everyone sort of sees travel for business as such a huge luxury.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, like you get to go to all these amazing places and all of that kind of stuff. And I was, before I started my corporate job, so still, sort of the right out of school kind of jobs, I would always be like, wow, like just imagine like they fly you to this place and you stay in a hotel, and like that's the dream, right? And then I landed my corporate job, and I remember them flying me. I don't remember where now, but I went all over the world, different places. And I remember it's like, hang on a second. This is not what I signed up for.
No.
Because even though it seems very, I don't know, posh to be able to do that, or again, sort of that luxury, you don't realize that, number one, you're away from your family and friends. You are in an airplane for a ridiculous amount of hours. Like you were in, 15, 48 hours, you're probably up. You don't understand what that does to your body. Hotels sound all good. Now you got used to it. Now that's not something, so you and I are very different from this perspective. Yeah. I didn't travel as much as you did. I only traveled once or twice a year. So I never got used to being in different places, different time zones, staying in hotels. And I'm still not great when I am, somewhere else other than my own house and my own bed. So I never got used to that piece. So for me, the hotel was all good. And then your flight gets delayed, and then you're staying in a hotel and you're eating hotel food, which isn't fantastic. So the whole concept that everyone goes, wow, traveling for work must be amazing, needs to do it.
Yeah. Well, and I think people don't realize that you're working 24 hours a day, because it's not like you work all day. You're not going out and, you don't have any friends there or anything to hang out with or do something. Your family's not there. So you're literally working all the time. You go back to your hotel. That's me anyways. I went back to my hotel and I would work till I went to sleep. Right. And you didn't really get to go back to your hotel, because when you're traveling, you always have to go for dinner with clients or company personnel or whatever. So you never really, so literally you make about 10 cents an hour. So
well, I remember I think I went to Barbados, and it was like, oh, this is like my first time, because I was really young. I was like, this first time I'm going to a resort, like how exciting and all that. I literally landed in the airport, took a bus. It was a very small resort. I hung out with work people, and as much as I love them, and I did, I'm on. And I think this is the part that really was difficult for me, is I was on from literally the time I opened my eyes, because I was rooming with somebody who I also worked with.
Yeah.
So it's not like I can just wake up and, I don't know, turn on the TV or whatever if they want to talk. So you're working, right? And then you're out late and all of that kind of stuff. And yes, I mean, it was good trip, but I remember this other time I went to another part of Canada, and I did not see the city. I went from the airport to the hotel. Mm-hmm. I spent 3 days in the hotel, business meetings, breakfast meetings, dinner meetings, doing this, doing that, working after dinner meetings to prepare for the breakfast meetings, blah, 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 sleeping for a couple of hours. And then I left the hotel and went back to the airport. That's a typical business adventure
And
that people don't
yeah.
understand.
And as I said, like the wherever you're going, whatever country, I mean, I had a lot of countries to go to, but like don't forget, like when you come from head office, they are, doesn't matter who you're speaking with, the country manager, regional manager, whatever, they are trying to impress you, right?
Yeah.
Because they want money to go to their way, not to other countries.
Right.
And so they're taking you out to dinner. And I know it sounds glamorous, but when you're beat,
It's not.
it's
It's
and they're like, oh, we want you to do here, oh, we want you to take there. And still remember, like, and that was back in the day when you still wore heels, and you know what I mean. These days are different
uncomfortable
now because
stuff.
people are smarter. But yeah, so it was really, really hard to be able to understand that. You had zero time. Now the beauty of the world after COVID is
Mm-hmm.
everybody now does meetings on Zoom, and there is
Yeah.
no difference. I mean, I could have sat there and had, I would be in Tokyo every single month, right? I go to Hong Kong, go to Tokyo, I go to Europe every month. And so the difference is I could have had the exact same meeting on Zoom, guaranteed,
Yeah.
exactly the same. I did not have to be there. And you don't have to, go out to all the dinners and stuff. It's great. And then maybe, if I was running corporate now, I would say, okay, so twice a year, I would say you could go out. It'd be good to meet, see
Right.
the
In person.
sites and
Yeah.
everything. But like I still remember I used to take, this was before live streaming, I would take video and pictures and of sites, right? If there was one that I wasn't sure of and I'd want my president to weigh in. And I would send him the pictures and say, this is what the site looks like. It's not the same as being there. But now with the live streaming and everything, it is being there. Like you can pan the whole place, you can see what's around. There isn't anything now, especially like if who watched the virtual, we talked about it last week, the virtual piece with Apple, right? And
Right.
you could literally be anywhere. Like you can with that you can feel like you're in Rome.
Yeah.
Like you can see the sights. Like even though you're not there, I know it's not the same. Everybody, don't get me. I know the smells and I get all that. But I mean, you really
It's
maybe
as
they should
close
add
as
that.
you can get without actually being
Yeah,
there. But you're right. The whole corporate landscape, I think, has changed, which is really
totally,
good.
totally.
Even internal meetings, like I think back to the meetings that I used to facilitate, and I would fly up, all of these executives for a 3-hour meeting. That wouldn't happen today.
No, and it was so expensive. Not like it's, think about it. I still, I would go to Tokyo and I still remember the flight was like 10 grand business return.
Right.
And like that's every month. I remember my Amex bill at the time per month it was like 40 grand or something like that. Um, but like you think about it now, like so much money spent on this that now companies are like, hey, we don't have to do that. Just here's your Zoom account and a laptop. Which is cool
Well,
because
yeah.
I would say, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved what I did and it was fun and everything, but I did miss out a lot on like concerts and birthdays and stuff that I was traveling. So if I could do it over again and utilize Zoom, I'd be doing it in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I mean, just the joy. Like, I just love it. I know we talk a lot about technology, and that's just because we both love it. But when I was preparing for the workshop tomorrow about the different tech, like, you can't literally exist in today's world without some sort of technology.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, you would go, even if you did, so forget your laptop, let's just put that aside, put all technology aside. Okay, a plane is technology, I get that, but whatever. You would literally you would make a phone call, you could book your
Yep.
flight, or somebody would book your flight for you. And then you would bring your potentially notebook and paper and pen or pencil,
Yep.
right? Fly, you'd take notes, you would have the meetings, you would take notes, you would fly back, you would implement, you would have other meetings to discuss what had happened. You could run an entire business with zero technology.
Right.
And that's the way it used to be done.
Yeah.
You would have to fly somewhere to sign or whatever.
Slower.
There was no e-sign. 110%, much slower.
Yeah.
But in today's world, I don't think it's physically possible to
I
do
think
any
that,
business without some sort of technology.
yeah, the other piece to that is because you know, technology's everywhere now, so companies don't have the luxury of not being involved. I mean, you have to be on social media, you have to have websites, you have to have all that. So what didn't exist, back then exists now. So you can't ignore it and say it doesn't work. I mean, I looked at somebody's website the other day, and it was like very 1999 or whatever it was. It was like a long time ago. It was just like you could tell, I immediately thought, okay, I'm losing. They're losing credibility with me because they
Right.
haven't updated, and maybe they don't know tech, but then hire somebody that does, right? But the beauty
And
of,
unfortunately, it shines through. It shines
yeah,
through on your website. It shines through on. So, for example, I had someone reach out to me probably a little bit over a month ago because I was away for the month of May. So it must have been just be like right around the beginning of May, and asking if the podcast mastermind was still running. So she goes, I'd love to have a conversation about it. Then, May happened.
yeah,
So I tried to send her an email when I got back. I was like, hey, like, absolutely would love to jump on a call with you to talk about what's, how to get started with the mastermind and all of that kind of stuff. And her email bounced back. And I'm like, well, that's weird. This is the email she used at the beginning of May, and here it is only a month later. She can't be out of business. Like,
yeah,
she wouldn't be gone. So I tried tried a couple of days later, whatever. So back in an old email, I found I found a link to book a meeting with her. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm sure she's still in business. So I clicked the button, and I had a conversation with her yesterday. And I'm like, hey, don't know if you know this, and her email was down literally the entire month.
wow,
And it was because she didn't understand. I mean, I don't want to get into the whole technical back end stuff, but she
yeah,
was changing her URL on her website. So she deleted the
oh,
URL and didn't realize it was attached to her email.
wow,
Right. And that's just as simple as a very simple mistake.
yeah,
But again, if you don't understand that world, you shouldn't be doing that, or you should be asking those questions to
yeah,
make sure. And that's why I think we're so passionate about helping people understand some of the basics of how this all works so that
yeah,
you don't make that mistake. So
yeah,
she went ahead and she deleted it. And it took her a month, like, trying to get things back. She didn't understand what it was doing. So it was quick when she realized sort of what she had done and finding the person that could help her, because she was like, her email's down and she was trying to fix her email, but that wasn't the problem. The problem was that she no longer had the URL that was associated with the email.
she was probably wondering
So
why nobody was getting back to her.
yeah, and that's what she was wondering. And now she's like, well, what emails did I miss? Because it's not a situation where her email was down, and once it's back up, all of it would be populated.
Yeah,
It never got delivered to her. So I said, I was this close. I said, you're lucky that it was referred from a friend.
yeah,
Otherwise, I probably wouldn't. Once your email bounced back, I would have assumed that you were out of business,
yeah,
and I wouldn't have moved forward. But because it was a referral from a friend, I wanted to make sure that I did my due diligence and made sure that I got in contact,
yeah,
because I had told her that I was going to be out of the office for a while. And then she was like, no hurry. And I said, yep, the mastermind was still running and she could join anytime. So there wasn't a rush and all of that kind of stuff. But when you do stuff like that, like, you have to be really careful in today's world as well. Because the other challenge with technology is how easy it is
yes,
for it to go down. And then you assume, like I did, I was like, I wanted to make sure you were still in business, because I didn't know, even when I booked my meeting yesterday, I wasn't sure she was going to show up,
right,
because I didn't know. And I'm like, well, I'll take a chance. And she was like, well, thank goodness you did, because I had no other way. I had no way to eat.
yeah,
But yeah, anyway, so there's definitely pros and cons, but I think back in the day, we would never have had that problem.
no. But I
Right.
think, I mean, I'm going to just plug us for a minute, because if you are a Mastermind City Plus member, which means you have access to all of our courses and everything, but you also, just so you guys understand this, you have access to us every week. So on Wednesdays, we go live with all our students, and they can ask whatever they need. So if they're struggling or don't know what to do, or something's gone wrong and they don't know tech, they can ask us and we will fix it. We'll figure it out for them, right? Yeah. So that's the beauty of understanding, how valuable it is to be with a group that makes sense. So if you don't have anyone, check us out. Join Mastermind City Plus as a member. And literally, we're not lying. Literally, you can do access to us every single week. So it doesn't matter.
She actually admitted, because I told her that. I said, because she's part of this networking group. And she goes, well, that's great, but we meet physically once a week and I don't get a chance to ask any questions. That's the difference between a networking group versus a community where like ours, where you can, because I said to her, I'm like, oh, I wish you were a member of our community, because you could have literally hopped in and said, my email's down. And we would have said, what did you do? And we probably would have fixed it in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because we understand how it all works. So she would have been able to hop in. We would have answered her questions. She's also redoing her website. So it's that, that feedback, those questions, anything that you run into in business. And she's like, oh, I wish you had have been there like a month ago. So now she's going to be joining because
that's the whole point.
The value.
That's the whole point. So that, and the reason we did it, like, you guys, if you have coaches, you have access to it, but your coach is a limit to what they coach. Right. So if you're a business coach that coaches on theory or coaches on, whatever, website design or coaches, we just do everything. So whatever questions you have, we have a lot of expertise in a lot of different avenues. So whatever questions you have, regardless if it's a tech question or it's a business related question or it's client based or it's like funnels and marketing and social media, whatever it is, podcasts, videos, speaking, we can answer your questions. And I think that's the key. And that's why people are so happy that are with us, is because they know that even if they only ask 2 questions a year, it's worth it, because there isn't a timeline, and we're not the kind of people that say, well, this is, we're not the coaches that go, okay, well, this is what we think you should go investigate or try this. No, we tell you the answer. We'll just say, no, go do this. This will solve your problem. And that's what I'm always looking for. When I was first starting, I was looking for people that could tell me. I didn't want to hear theory, and I didn't want them to, this wasn't a therapy session. I wasn't interested in talking about, my money beliefs and all that shit. I was interested in you telling me what I need to do, because what I'm doing right now isn't working. So,
and an action step to move it forward, and not just, okay, well, let's talk through this about options. And I think what ends up happening, because I've been part of some of those groups where you end up leaving with a list of options and ideas, and you're no further ahead because you just have a list of ideas.
Yeah.
Well, what idea is the best one? What idea would be action? If I were to go with this idea, what would be the following step, and how do I move things forward?
Yeah. That was the whole premise of Mastermind City. It was to be able to say, just like all the courses that everyone gets access to, it's the ability to be able to say, you want to do a podcast? Here you go. Watch these classes and you'll be done. You'll be done. You can just go ahead. You'll be live in a matter of a couple of days, couple of weeks, depending on how involved you want to get. And then if you're stuck, you just come up and ask questions, right? And just say, well, I'm not sure about this. Well, what did I do wrong? And then we fix that for you, right? So it's a little different. If a lot of networking groups, and we do networking, but we do networking so that you can meet other people and gain contacts. And
those are valuable, 100%.
Yeah, but a lot of them try to imply that you're going to get all your answers, and you're not.
No,
right? You're not. So regardless of, networking is fantastic. We love it. We're glad that all our members are involved in networking, but we're also realistic that no one in networking is really going to stop what they're doing to help you figure something out. That's the reality.
They can't stop a networking group.
No.
Whatever their flow is, especially some that are extremely structured. Yeah. They just simply can't stop the conversation, roundtable introductions, whatever the case is, to solve that, because a lot of times maybe there's no one in the room that can solve that problem.
Right.
That's the other difference.
Yeah. True. So you guys
Yeah,
got to
anyway.
get involved. And number one thing you guys can do while you're watching this is tomorrow you want to join us for our Master It Monthly, where it's all about tech, all about the
Yep.
best things you can use. And it's not a tech in terms of we're not going to teach you coding. We're going to
No.
teach you what we use, what we love, and shortcuts that save you time and money.
Absolutely. All right. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. So in the meantime, have a great week, and we will see you here next time.